Hello and welcome to the Random Wrestling Review and our local to global series that is today concerning itself with the 5th anniversary show of the Random Wrestling Review. And actually, out of curiosity, what would that end up being in terms of the number of the show that we've done? 77th show in our history. So that's pretty cool. You pick us up where you left us off, basically, the last time around. This is, we came out of our last show. I think we got 2 done in the last episode, which is why we haven't moved on from this point. So we're going to quickly advance to the end of the current month into September of 2000. And thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully you'll enjoy this enough to give us a like on the video. And if you have just found us, to subscribe so that you can follow along to the whole series. And if you have found us in this episode, I absolutely would love it if you could go back and watch the rest of the series, because I do think there's been a heck of a lot of stuff that's taken place, and a story that kind of some of the stuff that will come up in the future will almost certainly um, kind of reference back to those early days. So absolutely check it out if that sounds good to you. If not, just stay with us and we'll continue to blast forward with this series. And as I said, it's the 5th anniversary show today, so which is a pretty big occasion for us. 5 years that the in game that we've gone through, which is pretty cool. It doesn't look like there were any major shows at the end of August. I did one thing that we were talking about a few times uh, over the last couple of episodes was what happened to WCW. You might recall that they had this weird um, moment in May where they basically took a jump up in popularity everywhere in the US, at least. I don't know what happened. There's nothing in the game that looks like it made this happen. I'm wondering whether there was, because you'll remember, like April was the time Vince Russo returned to WCW in real life. So I'm wondering whether or not the game did something, whether someone built something into the mod to do that. I don't know. Or maybe it was just some kind of bug. I don't know what happened. But anyway, they did get this bump. I don't know what for, but you can see subsequently they have dropped. And actually, what is really key here is that they fell to medium size not too long ago. The end of in the middle of July, they fell to medium size, and they have not recovered since. So WCW continues to be a bit of an issue right now, and in terms of what they're doing and their popularity, and we will continue to keep an eye on it. Now, as far as we're concerned, we have got the 5th anniversary show. I'm just going to check that we've got the right name. We have, and also the Monday week 2 is perfectly fine. It is clear. Open doors as well, of course, this month. Although I don't imagine we'll get that in for today's episode. I do intend to, for this episode, just do the one event. Um, Now, one of the things we're going to do is make a signing, a special signing, really, just for this 5th anniversary show. I'm going to bring in Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who, of course, is the brother-in-law of um, Bruce and Keith. Bruce, of course, who runs this promotion. He's the owner of the company, and so it makes sense in some ways to bring him in. He's going to be a one-shot deal for this show. Let's take you to the rankings, which is ultimately what will determine our main event here. So we've got Dave Batista, obviously the champion, with 14 points. Buddy Wayne and Charlie Haas are joint number 1 contenders at this point in time, and we're going to go with Buddy Wayne as the challenger to Dave Batista, which has a nice feel to it, given that Buddy Wayne was one of the participants in the very first show that the company put on 5 years ago in Game Time. And so it just feels like the right thing to do for him to go for the title, given that he is in that position right now. Then a bit lower down, we've got Billy Kidman on 9 points, CM Punk on 8, James Storm on 8, Rex King, Sean Stasiak, CW Anderson on 7, Chris Harris on 6, Teddy Hart and ECMO on 5, Mark Henry and Ace still on 4, Dan Severn Chemo, Barry Buchanan and Keith Hart on 3, and Eric Young on 1. And for those who have not seen this before or just want to refresh, ultimately the way the ranking system works is once you are the champion, you are obviously the champion. The number 1 contender is the person with the most wins, or the most points, I should say. You gain points by getting a win, so every single win you get gets you 1 point. That includes singles, tags, triple threats, whatever kind of match it is, you get a point for that. And then the winner, as I said, the one who's got the most points is the number 1 contender. Then, if they lose that match against the champion, they lose all of their points and move to the bottom of the rankings again, and everybody else shifts up. If they win, then they replace the champion as champion, and the champion goes down to 0 points and moves to the bottom of the rankings. Hopefully, that's as clear as I could possibly make it. But apologies if it's still not clear, but there we go. That's what we do. Now, we've sorted out the Jim Neidhart thing, so I think we're ready to progress to the next player control show. Although obviously, hopefully, we get the message that interrupts us to say that Anvil has joined us. Actually, that's a good point. Actually, I've just thought I don't really want to sign him to an ongoing contract because I don't want him to fall out with his family. So actually, I don't want to withdraw the offer either. Can I just make a new offer? I think I can. Um, One appearance. Okay, maybe that will fix it because that was a mistake there. I don't want to have to release him ultimately, and if I have to release him, that will stunt his. You know what? I wasn't sure whether I was going to actually use Nine Out again in the future. I might just. You know what? I'm just going to keep it to that. We've got a thing anyway, which is that we don't need to use anybody. We've taken off the option in the game which leads to people being annoyed if you don't book them regularly. And I'm just thinking, actually, I might want to use Jim Neidhart sporadically, not on a regular basis because I think he's just too expensive, um, but we might want to use him here and now and again. Ken Shamrock has agreed deal with New Japan. I think that makes sense. And Terry Gordy has not been offered a new contract by the WWF, so they obviously had him on board and they have not signed him to a new contract, or they're not appearing like they're going to anyway. Um, So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous because we just had to change Neidhart's contract and unnecessarily, actually, in the end, as it turned out. And I'm wondering whether that might just take him up to the point where he takes a bit long to sign that contract now, because it was already 4 days. Yeah, a little bit nervous, bit nervous. We'll see if Neidhart signs his contract before the next show. Looks like he's just about to do so. We got it just in time. So Jim Neidhart joins us. I think we'll just check Neidhart before we go any further. So don't want him to work heel. He's going to work babyface. Um, I think he can keep a crazy gimmick. Though. That's fine because he is a bit fun. He is a bit crazy. Looks like WWF are changing their TV deal in Mexico. Fine. No real comment from me there. So yeah, it's tomorrow night, the 5th anniversary show. And so we've got Batista Buddy Wayne as the main event. We also have the Mavericks set to face Red Alert for the tag team championships. You'll remember that it was Red Alert who beat the Mavericks in the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, and they've now been booked to go for the titles they used to hold by Bruce Hart. Of course, Bruce Hart has a vested interest in the Mavericks losing the belts because he wants to release James Storm, but can't do it until James Storm those titles have been taken away from him. And he's apparently standing on ceremony, too much of a gentleman, quote unquote, to just fire James Storm and make the tag team titles vacant. So, how's this show going to start? Well, it's going to start with Ace Steel talking about everything that's going on with the rebellion at this point. Um, you'll remember as well. This is ECMO's last show, so bear that in mind. But basically, Ace Steel comes out at the start of the show, and he says that tonight is the night the rebellion set things right. So ultimately, they've been bickering internally. They've all had issues with one another over the last few months, and Ace Steel is basically saying tonight's the night that all ends and they start to get themselves back on track. And to begin that process, Barry Buchanan is going to take on Eric Young. And this is going to be a short match. And what is going to be very strange about this, we're going to keep strong Barry Buchanan because the winner here is going to be Eric Young. You saw on the rankings, Eric Young has to this point only had one match. Sorry, only one win, I should say. But he's going to get the quick, clean flash pinfall finish here. No, he's not. That's not going to happen. When he is DQ'd because of interference by um by ECMO. I think we'll go with either one, ECMO or chemo, both coming in. The idea will be here that effectively Barry Buchanan's in control, but the Samoan Violence Connection still come out to try and make sure of the victory. And um, Emo distracts the referee as ECMO attacks Eric Young from behind, but the referee turns around before ECMO is done and then catches him and disqualifies him. So it's a bit of a fluke victory for Eric Young, but the idea being that Barry Buchanan is cost the victory here against someone he should have beaten by the Samoan Violence Connection. And already the night that everyone said they'd be getting back to, winning ways, or the night Ace Steel said they'd be getting back to winning ways, I should say, has gotten off to a very bad start. So next is a one-on-one match. It's Billy Kidman against Rex King. Now, I can't remember because I've planned all this show out, but I can't remember exactly what my thought was in terms of who will win this one. But I think we are going to give it to Billy Kidman. I think this is going to be a hard-fought victory for Kidman. In fact, what we'll do is give him a pinfall victory, but we'll do it with a tainted win. I'm hoping that the tainted win will be something like he grabs the ropes. That's what I want from this finish, is that he's going to grab the ropes to sort of do it cheaply, but it to be reasonably okay because he's against the heel. Because Billy Kidman obviously is turning heel, but he's not yet there. Rex King is unhappy with that, so let's just keep him strong as well. Already lots of allowances for the booking of people that we don't want to make them look weak. But it's fine. It's early enough in the card for it not to be a problem. Next up, we get the tag team encounter, which is ECMO and Chemo, the Samoan Violence Connection, them again, against this time Keith Hart and Teddy Hart. And in this one, we're going to make it 9 minutes long, and it's going to be a victory for Teddy Hart over ECMO. So ECMO is going to lose. This one's going to be the flash pinfall finish. And we might make this storytelling too. Is there anything else I think I prefer to make storytelling? No, I'll keep that for the moment. Hold that back. So Samoan Violence Connection faces Keith Hart and Teddy Hart, but in this one, ECMO is the one who gets pinned by Teddy Hart with a roll-up type pinfall. We're then going to get an angle featuring CM Punk, and this is where Jim Neidhart comes in. So CM Punk is going to issues an open challenge after complaining about not being booked. Neidhart accepts. So that's basically what's happening here. CM Punk comes out complaining about the fact that he's not been booked for the 5th anniversary show, and that's a disgrace because he is in his mind the best wrestler in the company. He then issues an open challenge, and out comes Jim the Anvil Neidhart. So we have CM Punk versus Jim Neidhart here in a pretty big match, actually. Let's see how long we can push this one. I'll make it a storytelling match. This is the one I'm going to make a storytelling match. And I think I'll have CM Punk win, another tainted win. So hopefully the road agents differ this a little bit more. I'm looking for this to be more of a chair shot or some kind of foreign object that helps him win. I bet Jim Neidhart's not happy. Yeah, he's not happy. So can we just keep it? Given that he's furious, I think he will not be happy about just me adding a few things to placate him here. Yeah, so furious tends to mean that they aren't going to accept any. Oh no, he did accept some allowances to help him win. So another match in which we've got someone being kept strong and protected so as not to affect their kind of heat too much. But Punk will beat Jim Neidhart there. Big victory for him, certainly. So then the big matches on the show really begin because we've got Dan Severn versus Ace Steel. This is obviously the last match in Dan Severn's quest to kind of what's the word? Avenge his loss of the world title to Ace Steel in the first place. back at the lottery brawl, of course. Ace Steel beat down Severn with the help of the Rebellion. Severn's run through all the three other members of the Rebellion before this match, and now he's going to get the final victory. But this one's going to be as a consequence of botched interference when Ace Steel is accidentally hit by ECMO, and that's the finish. I mean, look, again, we had a warning about Dan Severn's stamina in this match, and it's only an 8-minute contest. For me, that's pretty much confirmed that Dan Severn won't be around for very much longer. Not exactly sure how much longer, but not for very much longer, as we think about what we're going to do with him in terms of his exit. But like, I just think there's not a lot of point keeping him. We've had him for the year where he did what we want him to do, which was come into the company and win the title on his debut, defend it a number of times, and now he's dropped the belt, gone through the feud with the Rebellion. I'm struggling to see what's next for him anyway, and plus the fact that he can't really go for any length of time in the ring means that it's time, I think, for Dan Severn to potentially be dropped from the company. Now, after this, we get a big angle. It's going to be Ace Steel, and he is basically out there with Chemo, ECMO, and even Barry Buchanan's come out to see what's going on. So this is after the match, and Ace Steel grabs the microphone, and he talks about the fact that for months there has been problems within the Rebellion, and he says that it's clear to him that there is a problem, and that problem needs to be cut loose. And he turns to Chemo, and he says to Chemo that he doesn't want to make this decision on his own, and he asks Chemo to search within his soul to determine whether or not he's willing to take out the dead weight. At that point, Chemo mulls it over for maybe a couple of seconds and then attacks his own, I think, nephew or cousin, can't remember which, ECMO, attacks ECMO along with Barry Buchanan, and this is where ultimately ECMO's effectively ditched, not just from the Rebellion, but also from the company. So the dead weight, Chemo attack ECMO. So this is, I guess, the point. The point here was sort of show that, you know, Ace Steel has decided, and over the course of the night, obviously ECMO was the reason why Barry Buchanan got DQ'd. He then got pinned in the tag team match, and then he accidentally cost Ace Steel the match against Dan Severn. But the idea here is Ace Steel starts going, I've understood what the problem is. I've identified the problem. I think you have two, Chemo, but I need you to make the decision for yourself because of the family tie between yourself and ECMO. And he doesn't say that, but that's what is effectively he's sort of trying to get across. And Chemo then attacks his own cousin ECMO, and we have the dumping of ECMO from the Rebellion. It was ECMO, in fact, who was coming to us saying he wanted to leave, but that was fine because we were basically getting to the same conclusion as well anyway. And then we have the tag team title match. James Storm and Chris Harris going up against Charlie Haas and C.W. Anderson. Red alert. I'm expecting big things. I'm not going to lie to you. And such is the case, I'm going 15 minutes with this one, which continues to seem to be the best we can do. I'm going to only make it 50 minutes. I'm not going to make it a slow build. And the winner is going to be Chris Harris, and he's going to pin C.W. Anderson. Once again, the Mavericks have got through and successfully defended their title. I think this is only the second defense of their title. Let's just check. So they had one successful title defense against the Hart brothers, of course. These were the team, Red Alert were the team that beat them in the first place for the that they beat in the first place for the tag team belts. God, can barely talk properly this morning. But yeah, but then Red Alert beat the Mavericks in the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, and Bruce Hart decided, right, the Red Alert might be the ones to take away the belts from the Mavericks. So that's the match we've got: the Mavericks versus Red Alert for the tag team titles. We already, before this, by the way, before this angle and this match, we already had enough on this show to keep us within the time limit we need to keep within. But we've got one more match to go anyway. Yeah, in fact, we've got a little bit more than that. So next up, we get another angle, and this is before the main event. Dave Batista and Buddy Wayne are ready for their match. And before they can start to have their match, Sean Stasiak and Mark Henry come out and try to attack Batista, but Buddy Wayne helps Batista get rid of Stasiak and Henry, and they retreat to the back, allowing Batista and Buddy Wayne to have their match. I'm just going to write that in the notes here. Henry attack Batista. Wayne helps Batista, and they drive them away. That's going to be the angle here. Can make that 4 minutes. Then we're going to have the match between Dave Batista and Buddy Wayne. Neither of those I just selected were right. There's Buddy Wayne. This is for the RWR Northwest title. For Batista, this will be his third defense of the belt after winning the belt from Ace Steel, of course, back at the Lottery Brawl. And I think we'll just do this for 13 minutes. We don't need the full 15, given that we're already over time anyway, or already have enough time taken up anyway. And the winner is going to be Dave Batista. He's going to retain the belt in a good open match with a clean pinfall finish. And that's how this one's going to go. After the match, we're going to have Dave Batista. How are we going to put this? Go charisma. And Buddy Wayne. And they are going to shake hands. Oh, God, I cannot type either now. Shake hands after the match and celebrate with the fans. Kind of a nice way to finish off the 5th anniversary show. And we are now over time, wouldn't you know? So what can I cut back on? I mean, we could cut this one back, actually. So we've now absolutely maxed out our hour and a half here to 112 minutes in total. Everything's fine with regards to the booking. We're not going to be penalized. I think it is time for us to run this anniversary show. Before I go any further, I just want to check our storylines are right. So I am going to end this one. I think it's time we ended this storyline. We got James Storm versus Bruce Hart, which does continue to go on. The Rebellion's continuing to implode. Their feud is continuing. I think what we're going to get in the next couple of shows is one or two new stories starting up. But for the time being, we'll just keep it to those three. So let's do this. And in front of 136 people, the 5th anniversary show kicks off with an angle featuring Ace Steel, Barry Buchanan, Chemo, and ECMO. And Ace Steel says that tonight is the night that the Rebellion set things right, as things have not been going well for them for a number of months. But tonight they're going to sort it out. They're going to be victorious in all of their matches. And Random Wrestling Revue is going to once again fear them as the premier stable within the company. Segment rating here 38. Ace Steel was really good. A good start to the show. And then we had the first match of the night, and only a segment rating of 20. That's got to be one of the lowest rated matches we've had for a very long time. But in this one, Eric Young defeats Barry Buchanan in 4 minutes and 36 when Barry Buchanan is disqualified after ECMO runs in and attacks Eric Young in front of the referee. So effectively, as I said, what happens here is that in order to try and ensure that the Rebellion all win their matches, Chemo and ECMO come out during this one. Chemo distracts the referee. ECMO goes after Eric Young, but Chemo doesn't manage to keep the attention of the referee for long enough, and he catches ECMO attacking Eric Young, meaning that Eric Young gets the win via DQ. So this one, Billy Kidman and Rex King have their match that goes for 10:56 and is won by Billy Kidman when he gets a handful of tights and takes the victory. Segment rating of 35. I've been a little bit disappointed just recently by Kidman's in-ring performances. It feels like he's dipped somewhat the last 6 months maybe. maybe a bit less than that actually. But nevertheless, he gets the win here in a match that was good. But we want to see Billy Kidman performing better than this. His heel turn is on the horizon, and I don't know how far in the future it's going to be yet, but it certainly will be coming at some point. Rex King, a 38 in-ring performance. Next up, the Samoan Violence Connection faced Keith and Teddy Hart. And in this one, Teddy Hart got the victory for his team when he pinned ECMO with a fast roll-up. ECMO, a 23 in-ring performance, which is one of the reasons why we were looking to move him along anyway. He's actually regressed, significantly since coming into the company. Chemo still got an in-ring performance of 46, though. That's why we wanted to retain him. And Teddy Hart at 35, Keith Hart at 25, but Teddy Hart continues to improve. And this was a good match, a 36 rated match. So then we had CM Punk come out, and he said that it's a disgrace that on the 5th anniversary of the company, he doesn't have a match. He says he's not been booked despite being the best wrestler in the Random Wrestling Revue. And he says instead of waiting on the Hart family to allow him to have a match, he's going to issue an open challenge right here, right now for anyone in the back to come out. Now, actually, I didn't do what I was supposed to do here. I forgot how I was going to present this angle. So I'll tell you how, in my mind, this angle went, and you can just ignore the fact that it didn't go quite the way that in reality, it didn't quite go that way. Which is that Bruce Hart then comes out and tells CM Punk that it just so happens that somebody is in the back who would be willing to take up his challenge. He's been visiting friends and family. He then motions to the curtain, and out steps Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who you can see I have spelt incorrectly here, which is lovely. A segment rating of 57, though. What a great way to start to have this match begin, this whole sort of angle begin. Out comes Jim Neidhart, and we have CM Punk versus Jim Neidhart in a 56 rated contest. I think that is the best in company history. Punk wins in 12:48, illegally using the ropes for leverage. Punk is the winner in an absolutely stunning match. As I said, I'm pretty sure that's the best we've had in company history. We will see later on when we look at the top 100 matches in the company. But what a match this was. Then to sort of wrap up this feud between the Rebellion and Dan Severn, Severn wins against Ace Steel in 7:43 following botched interference by ECMO. So again, desperate to try and make up for the fact that he was one of the reasons why Barry Buchanan lost earlier in the night and also took the pinfall in the tag team match earlier in the night. ECMO comes out to try and help Ace Steel, but instead accidentally costs him the match. Severn wins with an in-ring performance of 31, Ace Steel of 34, a segment rating of 37, though, so that's really good. And as I said, I just can't see us continuing to use Severin really much longer. And after this, the big angle takes place where Ace Steel, effectively having recovered from the loss and with the rest of the Rebellion in the ring with him looking a little bit gloomy as well, Ace Steel grabs a microphone and he says that ultimately the Rebellion has had problems for a long time, and it's clear to him now where the problem lies. And he says it should also be clear to the rest of the group as well. He then turns to Chemo and tells Chemo that he doesn't want to make the same um, he doesn't want to he doesn't want to come to the conclusion for Chemo, and he says to Chemo, I think you know what needs to be done. It's time to cut out the dead weight. Chemo then attacks his cousin ECMO, and Barry Buchanan and Ace Steel join in to take out the man who is leaving our company, and this is his last appearance after actually 51 matches. So he's been a really big part of this company, in fairness. Then the tag team title match saw the Mavericks against Red Alert in 14:57. The Mavericks win when Harris pinned Anderson. Defense number 2 of these titles for the Mavericks, but a 49 segment rating is also really, really great. It's almost a guaranteed good match between these four now. James Storm in in-ring performance of 48. Harris is up to 39 already. Anderson's at 37. Charlie has a 46. Four of the best performers and four of the most consistently good performers in the company here coming together and producing something really big for the Mavericks' second title defense. Then before the main event, as Dave Batista and Buddy Wayne stand in the ring ready to fight each other. Sean Stasiak and Mark Henry come out and try to attack Batista. Buddy Wayne, however, helps Batista, and the pair of them fight the two off, and Sean Stasiak and Mark Henry retreat to the backstage, allowing Batista and Buddy Wayne to have their match. A segment rating of 44 for this one. Then the match itself, a segment rating of 41, as Batista makes his third defense of the RWR Northwest title in 12:54 by pinfall, a clean victory. Dave Batista was a 38 rated, Buddy Wayne just a 40, and he was off his game. And given this was babyface versus babyface, I wasn't certain it was going to do that well, but it did pretty well. Segment rating of 41 is a good main event rating. And finally, after the match, Buddy Wayne and Batista shake hands, and celebrate with the fans to celebrate the fact that the company is now 5 years old. A great rating, actually, to finish us off for the 51 there. So an overall rating of 46 for this show. Some excellent matches. The best match in company history, I think, between Punk and Neidhart. Good main event. Great tag team match between the Mavericks and Red Alert, as was expected. The continuation of the story between the ending of the story between Ace Steel and Dan Severn, and the conclusion possibly to the problems between the various members of the rebellion. In terms of making a speech, well, obviously Jim Neidhart deserves complimenting on a good performance, even though he will not be staying with the company. I think we'll also give a big shout out to Punk, because he was obviously involved as well. And I think we'll go with James Storm as the other one, because he was the best rated in the tag team title match. And that is the show, and we've gone over time a little bit. I will just extend that a little further to look at where that lands in terms of top 100s. I mean, the event itself was the second best in history, of 46. And the best, there you go, Jim Neidhart versus CM Punk is the best match in company history at that show. We also had the fifth best match in company history, though, between the Mavericks and Red Alert. And I don't know if there's anything else on that front page. Doesn't look like it when I'm very quickly scrolling through. But all the same, I think I think the title match is going to be a way down, not massively far down, but all the way down in the. Here we go. It's 46th, but still a good match. And just to sort of confirm everything, there's Batista, 3 defenses now for him as the champion, and the Mavericks hold on to their tag team belts as well. That prestige continues to increase because of the quality of their matches. Well, that's all we've got time for today. Next time, I'll be bringing you Open Doors and potentially even something else if I can squeeze it all in. But thank you very much for today, and we'll catch you next time.